Hey everyone, welcome back. This is Miss Wilkins. We are going to talk about intervals in this lesson. Okay, and let's just start with what everybody already knows. I know you know about half steps and whole steps, but we're going to talk about a little bit more advanced concept on how we describe the structure of music with a little bit more detail, where we talk about distances between notes that are greater than a whole step, and are usually comprised of a variety of number of half steps and whole steps. So let's take a look at this. Here we've got some notes on our treble staff. We know that B to C is a half step, right? So that normally occurs in our C major scale. And then C to D, that's a whole step. All right, and again, we're just reviewing, but these are intervals. These are our beginning, what we call intervals, or in other words, we're measuring the distance between two notes. Now, sometimes distances of notes are greater than a whole step. So what if I had this, for instance, I had A to C. Well, if we count that, starting from our first note, we call that 1, we can count up 1, 2, 3. That becomes a third, okay? And we basically are just counting the notes, the distance away from the first note to the second note. It's pretty simple. We can also take that and keep going. We can look at fourths. And if you are a violin, viola, cello, we can also look at fifths, go all the way on up to an octave, or 8 notes away. So let's just put the octave here. Now, so we've got an 8 here, we've got a fifth here, we've got a fourth here, and a third here. Now, there's a couple of different ways that we talk about intervals. What I just wrote out is what we call that the melodic interval, because we're going to hear them one after another. And let me just turn up my volume a little bit. Thank you. So it's like a melody. We hear it in a line. Okay? But I could also play these at the same time. In other words, if I were to just erase that and play it at the same time, somewhat like a chord. A chord has more notes than this, but we'll go with that. We're going to call that a harmonic interval because I hear them as harmony. I hear that as a foundation of sound that on top of we can put a melody. Okay, now there's, I talked about an octave, and octaves I think you should know from your scales is that there are 8 notes in between an octave. But then we have the opposite of that, and let's just, before I move on from that, these 2 notes have the same name, but they don't sound the same, correct? Oops. And I like to call them cousins. Now, you can have a cousin in your family that has the same name as you, but you're different, right? So these are what I call cousins. But now let's get into the identical twins. And that would be if I had the exact same note. We're going to call this a unison. Hopefully you can see. It's literally the same note, but 2 instruments would be playing it. So there is such a thing as a unison, and we have the octave, and we have the harmonic intervals, and we have melodic intervals. Okay, I think that's pretty much what I wanted to make sure you knew about. But let's just go through all of the different intervals. We've got a third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, Oh, sorry. Whoops, we got seventh here. And there's your octave, okay? So later on, a little bit more advanced topic, we're going to get into the quality of intervals. So in other words, I can have two different types of thirds. And so we're going to talk about major thirds versus minor thirds and how those sound different. But just know that's where we're going, that's where we're heading. But now we can describe music in terms of how much distance happens between two notes, and do the notes happen at the same time, harmonically, or do they happen one after another, melodically? Okay, thanks a lot everybody, take care, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video.